Good to see you again. As we travel across the landscape enjoying scenery and diverse culture-diverse societies, we generally do not give much thought on the landscape element that is, however, perhaps the most important of all, the condition of the land. And to be able to comprehend the condition of the land we observe, we need a measuring stick, a reference for comparison. This measuring stick is called land potential. Armed with understanding of condition of the land and its potential, we can truly begin to understand the landscapes we are observing and the state in which they are. After watching this video, you will be able to explain the concept of land potential and how it affects what can be achieved on the land. You will also be able to recognize how land potential and land condition can be used to support management decisions. The term land potential is very important for all those managing land resources one way or another. It is meaningful not only for the farmer, but also for those that make land use decisions at higher levels, such as government agencies. And when it comes to it, we as consumers can have our influences on land use pressures by the choices we make in the grocery store, since that affects international markets. A simple explanation of land potential would be the state of the land when it's not substantially changed or damaged by overexploitation. In other words, the condition of undegraded land. From our previous discussion on land degradation, you now know that such condition can well exist under proper sustainable land use. So let me explain the factors influencing land potential. Landscapes are complex. They consist of multiple elements, each having its characteristics. There can be relatively flat elements or steep slopes with different aspects. The soils can be sandy or clayey and contain different amounts of organic matter. The groundwater may be deep or close to the surface, leading to the formation of wetlands. All those factors influence the land potential. Understanding the landscape elements is important. It includes the age of the landscape, different landscape units, geology of the bedrock, as well as the slope gradient and aspect. The topography has a strong influence on how water runs off the land, which influences the land potential. And so does the climate. The climate on Earth is quite variable, as we all know, from simmering heat and lack of moisture that limit plant growth in hot deserts to the ample supply of rainfall in rainforests, the dry, warm grassland areas and savannas, temperate grasslands and forests, to the cold of the tundra and mountains, where low temperature limits plant growth. The climate therefore restricts what the landscape potential for a given area can be. Under the surface is another component that has a large influence on land potential, the soil. A heavy clay soil can store a lot of water from rain and snow, providing water to plants during dry periods. The sandy soil does not, on the other hand. It does not store the moisture. The potential of such system is quite limited in arid climates where water storage in soil is needed. Thus, here we have three dominating factors that influence land potential: the landscape, the climate, and the soil properties. But let's not forget the life-sustaining cycles. The rainfall and the water storage capacity of the soil determine land potential in arid climates. However, all systems need energy, and almost all energy is directly or indirectly derived from the sun through photosynthesis. If we reduce the ability of a given land element to capture energy by removing its vegetation, then we are also affecting the nutrient cycle negatively, and that will reduce the fertility of the land. We are therefore damaging the potential of the site to be productive, support ecosystem services, and its resilience. The land becomes degraded and it is not performing at its full potential. When the cycles of energy, nutrients, and water are at optimal states for each given location, then we talk about that the site is at its full potential. But how can we know if this is the case? Well, all of these factors we have mentioned, the climate, the landscape, the soils, they define what is possible potential of the land. Some areas are inherently fertile, warm with ample rainfall and soils that store the energy and water. Other systems are not fertile at their full potential. Examples of such systems are arid areas with sandy soils with limited means of storing energy and water, and cold areas where low temperature limits the means to capture energy. What is important is that all the factors that determine the fertility and, even more importantly, the potential of the land can be measured by a range of scientific methods that are discussed in the next video. If you want to learn more about these methods, please look at the report Unlocking the Sustainable Potential of Land Resources, Evaluation Systems, Strategies and Tools, which is provided with the background material of this course. We can use our knowledge of land potential to match land use with land potential. That means land use must be tailored to the ability of the land to produce. It must be based on the potential of the land. This may sound like ordinary cliché, but it is not. Understanding of land potential is a practical step towards improving the state of the land and livelihoods of people. If land is not managed within the limits of its potential, degradation occurs. In nearly every country, we find stories of land that has been degraded beyond no return. The land has lost its former potential. In nearly every case, this has been caused by land use or management that exceeded the potential of the land. An example of this is the complete loss of topsoil from hillsides in the Mediterranean. This could have been avoided by adjusting the management to the potential of the land. The green line on the figure. Proper management hinders degradation and allows land to perform at its potential, or even exceeding its potential with increased inputs or new technologies that increase resource use efficiency, as you can see on this figure. The concept of land potential has now been introduced and explained. You should now see that the ability of the land to produce and deliver ecosystem services is quite variable, and it is determined by such factors as rainfall, temperature, soils, and the landscape elements. This is a basic knowledge leading to the next concept, which is necessary for understanding landscapes for all those managing land use at all levels, from the farmers, government agencies, to the consumers, the concept of land condition. That will be the topic of the next video.